So Rick is going to show us some aspects of the body construction of Jensen. You know, as a very small manufacturer, Jensen took, I would say, some guidance from how Jaguar and Aston Martin did things, but they also looked at how much smaller manufacturers like Iso or Bizzarini in Italy put things together, and finally they certainly figured out some things all on their own with hammers and mallets and shaping pieces. You want to just show some of the interesting things on this car.
It is very much in line with some of the other European cars we're doing, in that they seem to have started with a basic chassis that may have fit under multiple platforms, and you can see in this case,
you can see it here, right? There's our chassis.
This large tube chassis, front to rear.
And there's that interesting thing there where there's that there's a vacuum or fuel vapor fitting to let fumes into the chassis or do something there.
It was ducted into some of the emissions network within the car, and then they attached with largely bending brakes and welders all of the connecting infrastructure.
Well,
here.
Look at how this stuff is assembled. The construction here. See how this is kind of rough? It's probably a ½ inch of overlap with these sheet metal panels. You can see the same thing over there. That is very reminiscent of how something like an Iso Revolta was built. And didn't you say we had the same thing in the back of this car?
There is.
Yeah, we have.
If you look in the trunk, it's almost like there's a false trunk where they've brought the body shell down.
The sheet metal floor here ends, and then you've got a couple inch gap, and you've got the back of the body.
And you've got a drop that goes all the way down to the back of the bodywork.
Now, if this was an oil tanker, we would call it double wall construction. And I guess if we were salespeople, we would say this is double body for safety. But I think it's neither. It is probably, again, a way to build this body in one place and build this body piece in another, and have enough excess room to jig them together and make a car.
Very well built.
Look at this solid tubing here at the heart of this thing.
And the bracketry, that's got to be some of the support. Actually, this is the support for the rear suspension. The top of the shock goes up here, which is why we built our jig to it.
But we should point out the jig here because when we started on this car was already sagging in the middle, so you couldn't close the doors, and the doors were fouling the convertible top, and the top frame was actually damaged. So these jigs are holding it straight now.
As we work on it, we don't want it to sag anymore. We want to have it in its true position. So that's why these were put in.
So any of these unibody sports cars in the process of restoration, you're going to see these kinds of jigs and even more complex structures made. And you'll see structures like we have here on the floor that put the car in the air from the same points that originally carried the wheels and tires, so that the car is sitting on our body jigs in a natural stance and incorrect alignment, so that when we finish, we have a car where everything fits together when it sits on its tires.
Correct.